This is a quick summary of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, an antidote to chaos. The summary was written and made by me. Rule 10 is to be precise in your speech. When looking at objects such as a laptop, we tend to perceive the functionality of it. In reality, however, there are a number of components that must come to play in order to maintain this device, whether it be through the physical, biological, economic, and interpersonal systems which allow for the object to function. There are entire levels of interdependence in the extraction of ore, manufacture of components, and the electricity needed to fuel this operation. We tend to believe that we see objects in the world, which is, however, not the case, since we also see the usefulness of these objects simultaneously, or if they are an obstacle. We reduce our world into whether it can suit our purposes. For example, we see chairs to sit on and floors to walk on. We perceive the use of something simultaneously while perceiving the thing. It is for the utilitarian reason as to why we see stools and beanbags as objects to sit on like chairs, despite being completely different things. Thus, we see the world as something we can use or a hindrance that is in the way, and navigate through it depending on our needs, perceptual limitations, and abilities. We see the faces of others used to communicate and cooperate with others, but we don't see the subatomic and atomic particles making up the face, nor the microcosm of cells that make up the face. We don't see how the face interacts in other social circles, the economies and ecologies that the face of the individual is tied to. The point is that what we see isn't simply what there is. There is a multi-dimensional relationship between all objects, which makes it hard to distinguish and separate the boundaries of these things. What we perceive is the functional utility of the object, and also we believe that our own bodies end at the boundary of the skin, whereas in reality, using tools, driving a car, watching and reading fiction, participating as fans in a game, and fighting for the country are seen as somewhat extensions of the body. This is the basis for groups, to become greater and a part of the family, team, company, and nation state. In regards to order and chaos, since it is hard to distinguish and define the very boundaries of objects, the world is simply only when it behaves. Order would be when things function properly, whilst chaos is when things break down. Order, thus, is reduced to what is practically known, and that produces a complete perception as going along with the purposes that it is intended to. It is the ability to drive successfully. Chaos, however, is when complex machinery in the automobile breaks down. Anxiety results, producing emergent uncertainty and the realization that one knows absolutely nothing as to how the car functions. This leads individuals to seek mechanics to restore the simplicity of our perceptions by restoring its functionality. Just like mechanics, psychologists look at where things go wrong and how to restore individuals to functionality again. When things go wrong, whether it be the car or the psychology of an individual, it brings individuals to confront uncertainty, chaos itself. A devoted wife who confronts the infidelity of her husband can bring sudden collapse to the wife's world, leading to chaos and counterfactual thinking as to where she went wrong. She questions herself, whose fault it was she gullible, a victim, and this causes her to question her very identity. Her entire perceptions become warped around this very issue, and everything becomes tied to everything else. Just like the ensuing chaos from the collapse of the World Trade Center, or the frenzy of a Nazi rally, or witnessing genocide, our perceptions fixate on the chaos, and the chaos comes to devour what was once seen as order, the world of tools and personalities. Eventually, we don't see anything familiar, which by then produces tohu va bohu, formless emptiness, and tehom, the abyss, from the Bible. When things collapse, our perceptions of things vanishes, and we become engulfed by the freeze, flight, fight response. Reflexes then manifest as emotions as to whether something is fear-provoking, to be fought against, or etc. This then causes heightened arousal, releasing of cortisol and adrenaline for readiness against the perceived threat. The heart pumps and lungs inhale faster. The wife questions why would this happen. According to the children's story, there's no such thing as a dragon. The child sees a dragon, but the mother continually ignores it, which as a result makes the dragon bigger. Eventually, it causes more problems by destroying the house and sprawls onto the street. Only when the mother accepts that there is a dragon, the dragon shrinks. Asking why, the kids state that maybe it wanted to be noticed. Chaos emerges in the household and accumulates to the point where all the issues are too big to be ignored. Only then must individuals confront the threat at hand and communicate and recognize that there is a problem. Similarly, sins of omission are brought about when individuals just ignore a problem, which then grows and becomes bigger. There are 3 solutions to the problem of chaos in a relationship: to be a slave, to be a tyrant, or to negotiate. Giving in to others' demands submissively won't help anyone. It is only through negotiation where one can come to grips with the problem at hand. Perhaps the couple should have been precise in their speech. Remaining silent for the problems of avoiding fights doesn't help the relationship and merely represses the problems. You have to specify clearly as to what you want. Communicate what is bothering you and not just ignore your desires, for these could be a sign of worse issues. Through negotiation in speaking clearly and precisely, one creates goals which helps them to navigate through the chaos. The world and our own psychology are organized and highly dependent on our language, our ability to communicate. We mustn't repress emotions. Instead, clarify how we feel and what we think with the other. Through speech, we create and make manifest our very desires. We must be able to address that we have a problem, since broken machinery and families would only continually deteriorate. Precision helps, for it reduces the potential of the multitudes of things or could go wrong into what actually is wrong. For example, like deciding whether the creature in the bush is a tiger, wolf, or just a mouse. Knowing whether it is one or the other is better than not knowing at all. One must desire to bridge the gap between reality and what is desired in a relationship, for if it goes unanswered, the issue would only get bigger. In summary, attend to the complex interconnections of all things and specify what one wants and is describing, because only in doing so can we reduce the complexity of the problem, understand what's going on, and strive to put meaning back into life. Thanks for watching.